After the death of the soldier's son, the father and his girlfriend began romancing. But after a few days, they come to know that the son is actually alive. What happens next forms the rest of the movie. Grace and Gavin had been living together for many months. One day, Gavin proposes marriage to Grace, and she happily accepts. They spend the night together, deeply in love. Gavin, being in the military, has to return to duty the next day. But before leaving, he receives a call from the hospital. His father has been admitted due to a heart attack. Gavin becomes upset upon hearing this because he harbors resentment towards his father. He believes that due to his father's negligence and focus on work, his mother was left alone and died. However, Grace convinces him that despite everything, he should visit his father. Gavin agrees and goes to the hospital with Grace. By evening, his father, Stephen, is discharged, and they bring him back home. Stephen's house is large and luxurious, which impresses Grace. Soon after, Gavin is urgently called back to the military due to an enemy attack. After he leaves, a woman named Trinity enters the story. She is Stephen's girlfriend. She starts visiting the house frequently and even begins romancing Stephen openly. Meanwhile, Gavin and his unit are attacked by a large enemy force. His entire team is killed, and Grace and Stephen receive the devastating news that Gavin is presumed dead. Grace, devastated, decides to leave the house. But Stephen stops her, telling her they've built a bond and should stay together. Grace, overwhelmed with grief, starts drinking heavily. One night, in her drunken state, Stephen helps her to her room. Mistakenly seeing Gavin and Stephen, Grace tries to romance him, but Stephen resists. However, things change quickly. The next day, while at the dining table, their emotional bond brings them dangerously close. Unable to control their feelings, they end up in the bedroom and romance with each other. But the very next day, Grace receives a shocking call from the hospital. Gavin is alive. He had been kidnapped by the enemy but managed to escape. Grace is shaken, knowing what had happened between her and Stephen. A few days later, Gavin returns home. However, he is mentally disturbed and suffers from hallucinations, constantly feeling as if he's still in enemy captivity. Despite Gavin's return, Grace and Stephen continue their secret affair. One day, Gavin walks in and catches them in the act. Filled with rage and heartbreak, Gavin points a gun at both of them. He yells at them for betraying him in such a terrible way. But in the end, he cannot bring himself to shoot them. Instead, overwhelmed by pain and betrayal, Gavin turns the gun on himself and commits suicide.